They didn't know her name. Not the man who filmed it. Not the millions who shared it. Not the girl herself. Really, not in the way the world was about to. All they knew was this. There was a sound. It came from inside an empty train car. And once you heard it, you couldn't forget it. The video begins in silence. Grainy. Handheld. The camera wobbles as if the person holding it is too afraid to step closer. The light is gray, the kind that falls through broken glass and never really touches the floor. Dust floats in slanted shafts. Metal groans softly, like the train car remembers movement. And then, a voice. Not loud, not polished, but there's something in it. Something bruised. Something breaking open quietly. It's the voice of a girl singing to no one. And it sounds like she's singing to everything. She stands barefoot on the cold metal floor, a frayed blue hoodie hanging off one shoulder. In her hands, a wrinkled piece of paper, lyrics, maybe, but she's not looking at it. She's looking at the ceiling, like she's singing to the rafters, or maybe to someone long gone. The camera zooms in, hesitantly. You see her mouth move. You see her eyes close. You hear that echo. Raw, imperfect, beautiful in the way that pain sometimes is. No auto-tune, no backing track. Just a girl in the steel walls answering her back. 92 seconds. That's all. The video ends before she even finishes. The cameraman never speaks. He never shows himself. But his caption will say later. I was walking through the old yard when I heard this. I don't know who she is, but she stopped me in my tracks. Within a day, it had 1 million views. By the end of the week, 20. They called her Train Girl. The ghost voice of the rusted line. The girl who sang to no one. People argued over what the song was. Some said it was a cover of an old folk tune. Others swore it was something original. No one could find the girl. No one knew where the footage came from. Some said it was staged. Others said it felt too raw to be fake. But everyone agreed on one thing. That voice, whoever she was, had come from a place the world forgot. And now, the world couldn't stop listening. And somewhere beneath that very train yard, in a narrow hollow behind a locked service door, Lily Harper hadn't even seen the clip yet. She was just looking for her mother's flashlight. The one they used when the power cut again. The one that helped them find warmth. In a place where no light was ever meant to last. There is a place beneath the trains where no one looks. Not even the wind comes down here, not really. It whistles above the tracks and vanishes, as if unwilling to remember what lies below. This is where Lily Harper lives. Not officially, not legally, not even comfortably, but it's where she and her mother sleep at night, behind a rusted service hatch in an abandoned switching station, deep inside the bones of the old rail yard. You wouldn't know it from above. All you'd see is a cracked access panel near track 17, covered in ivy and warning stickers. But behind that panel, past the smell of damp concrete and forgotten metal, is a room just barely wide enough for 2 mattresses and a milk crate. They call it home. Most mornings, Lily wakes before the birds. Not because she wants to, because the cold finds her first. It creeps in through her sleeves, her collar, down to the soles of her feet. And when it reaches her ribs, she knows it's time to move. She tiptoes across the cement in worn socks, careful not to wake her mom. Her mother sleeps like someone bracing for something, shoulders curled, one arm still shielding her eyes. Even in dreams, she doesn't let go. There's no stove, no windows, no running water. Just a battery lantern, a stack of blankets, and a plastic bin that holds all their groceries. Instant oatmeal, crackers, a few cans. Most days, they eat at the public shelter. But on good days, when mom gets extra hours cleaning the office park downtown, they split a warm sandwich on the loading dock. Lily never complains. She never asks for more. She just holds the wrapper in her lap and lets the warmth of it last as long as she can. She used to go to school. She liked school. But then her shoes split. Then the bus stopped coming. Then her name quietly disappeared from the roster. Now she spends her mornings walking the yard, where the retired train cars sleep. She knows them by heart. Car 61B, where the roof leaks. Car 48, where the velvet seats are still intact. Car 10, the singing car, the one with the hollow echo that makes even humming feel like a secret being told. That's where she goes when her mother's away. That's where she reads torn paperbacks with no covers. That's where she writes things in her notebook she never says out loud. And sometimes, only when she's sure no one's listening. That's where she sings. Not to anyone. Not for praise. But because the silence inside her gets too loud, she sings to remember her father's old guitar. She sings to feel less like dust. She sings because her voice is the only thing no one's taken from her. She doesn't know someone filmed her yesterday. She doesn't know the world is already arguing over her identity. She doesn't know her voice has crossed oceans. Right now, she's just scrubbing mud from her jeans in a gas station sink, using the last of their shampoo, while a fluorescent light flickers above her like it might give up too. She's humming a little as she scrubs. Off-key, absent-minded, not knowing that, somewhere above her, in a cafe with Wi-Fi and soy milk, a music agent just clicked replay for the 10th time on a video called The Song in the Empty Train Car. It didn't start with courage. It started with loneliness. That kind that grows teeth when it's quiet too long. That kind that presses on your chest like a memory that never had a name. It had been 4 days since Lily last saw someone smile at her. 3 days since the last warm meal. 2 days since she'd said a word out loud. And now, the sky above the rail yard was turning lavender. That strange, in-between hour where day hasn't quite let go and night hasn't fully arrived. Where light gets lost, and so do people. Lily stood at the edge of the platform, her arms wrapped tight around her ribs. The hoodie she wore was too big, the hem torn, the sleeves stiff with old stains. But it was warm, and it still smelled like the thrift store near 12th Street. Vanilla, plastic, and something like safety. She could have gone back down, could have curled up under the blankets again, read another chapter of her battered copy of The Secret Garden. But something in her wouldn't sit still tonight. It was a kind of ache. Not pain, not hunger, just a low thrum in her chest. Like her voice had been pacing, waiting, needing a door to open. She knew exactly where to go. Car 10, the singing car. The one with the skylight cracked just enough to let the moon fall in. The one where the acoustics made even breathing feel like a song. She climbed through the side door quietly, careful not to trip on the loose metal lip. Inside, the air smelled of rust, pine sap, and old upholstery. Shadows curled around the seats like sleeping animals. She stepped into the middle of the aisle, closed her eyes, and let the silence settle around her shoulders like a blanket. Then, she began to hum. Just a thread of sound, unsure and raw. It wavered, broke, came back. She wrapped both hands around the scrap of paper in her hoodie pocket. An old lullaby her mother used to sing when they still had walls. She didn't need to read it anymore. She knew it by heart. And so she sang. Not for anyone. Not for rescue. She sang because the echo made her feel like someone was singing back. She sang because her voice, fragile, quiet, trembling, was the only proof she was still here. In that moment, she didn't know her voice was carrying. Didn't know someone was out there, behind another car, taking a shortcut through the yard. Phone in hand, battery low, live stream still running. Didn't know that when her final note rang out and faded, someone watching on the other side of a cracked screen would whisper, "Oh my God." Didn't know the internet had just opened its eyes. She just sat down, right there on the floor of the empty train car, pulled her knees to her chest, closed her eyes, and felt, for the first time in weeks, a little less hollow. By the time she climbed down and slipped back into the hidden hatch, the stars were up. Her mother was already asleep. And Lily didn't say a word. She just lay there in the dark, not knowing she had just lit a match, in a world full of gasoline. The video didn't scream for attention. It didn't flash or jump or beg for likes. It just hovered, quiet, like a held breath. At first, it floated in the dark corners of the internet, buried between algorithm glitches and late-night scrollers. It didn't even have a title, just a caption. "I don't know who she is, but this stopped me cold." And somehow that was enough. People clicked, one by one, and something happened. No ads, no clickbait, just a girl singing in an empty train car. And that silence, that beautiful, trembling, echoing silence, wrapped around the listener like a ghost of something they didn't know they missed. Some said it reminded them of Sunday mornings in their grandmother's kitchen. Others said it sounded like grief, like apology, like a prayer no one had the words for. It wasn't perfect. The audio clipped. The camera shook. There was no face, just the soft curve of a girl's profile in the dark. But her voice, it cracked in all the right places. Not like something broken, but like something true. By morning, the video had 600,000 views. By noon, over 1 million. Music forums started dissecting it. Reddit threads tried to trace it. Some thought it was a marketing stunt. Others were convinced it was AI, until one listener wrote, "No machine knows how to ache like that." They called it the Echo Song. The Train Yard Girl. Voice in the Wreckage. People remixed it, looped it, cried to it. One woman posted a video of herself playing it at her father's grave. A veteran wrote a comment saying it made him remember the name of a friend he lost. A child in Manila tried to sing along, eyes closed, voice shaking. It spread like smoke in an old house. Not violent, just slow, unstoppable. And somewhere beneath all of it, the girl who sang was still asleep, wrapped in a patchwork of coats and towels, listening to the low hum of trains passing above, thinking only of how cold tomorrow would be. She wouldn't know until 2 days later that a man in a clean black coat would knock on the locked gate to the train yard. Phone in hand, screen paused on her voice, asking a groundskeeper, "Do you recognize this place?" And behind him, a woman in a power suit would wait in the car, scrolling through her calendar, while an assistant emailed her PR team. Find a girl, get her on a call, offer whatever it takes. The world had heard her, and now it wanted more. It was early, too early for anyone to be near the train yard. But there they were, two figures standing by the padlocked gate. A man in a dark coat and a woman with red heels that kept sinking into the gravel. Their breath curled in the air. Their patience did not. Inside the yard, Lily was crouched behind a pillar, clutching a spoon and a half-eaten plastic cup of applesauce. She hadn't heard them call her name, because they didn't know it yet. They just had the video, and coordinates, and the certainty that the voice they'd heard echoing through their Bluetooth speakers and conference rooms had come from here. The man introduced himself first. He was soft-spoken, maybe 40. He said his name was Theo. He said he worked in music discovery. Said things like, "We believe in raw talent, and viral moments don't lie." The woman, Marla, did the rest. She smiled the way adults do when they're trying too hard. Her nails matched her lipstick. Her eyes were on her phone the whole time. They asked the groundskeeper if a young girl had been seen. Maybe 12, maybe 13. Alone, probably singing. She might be transient. They added, like the word was something delicate, breakable. The groundskeeper shook his head, but his eyes flicked, just once, toward the far end of the lot. The old cars. The forgotten ones. That was all Marla needed. By the time Lily returned to the switch room that evening, her mother was sitting up, stiff-backed, holding a business card in one hand. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Lily read the tension in her shoulders, the way her lips had gone white from pressing together. The card had glossy print. It smelled like perfume and ink. It said, "Talent Development, East Coast Division," in silver foil. And Lily knew. They'd found her. Later, over a cup of warm broth, her mother spoke softly. "They want you to come in. Just talk. Maybe sing. A friendly meeting," they said. She paused. "But we don't owe them anything, okay? You don't have to say yes." Lily nodded, but her mind was already elsewhere, spinning. What if it was real? What if someone finally saw her? Not through fogged-up glass or security cameras. Not as a girl who didn't go to school. Not as the one from the shelter. But as someone with a voice. Her voice. That night, Lily returned to car 10 alone. She stood in the middle, listening to the silence. It felt thinner now, like the echo had gone somewhere else. To laptops, to headphones, to strangers' ears. She didn't sing. She just sat, and let the weight of being seen settle over her like dust. She wasn't sure if it was warmth or warning. Outside the yard, in the back seat of a tinted car, Marla watched the train yard disappear in the rearview mirror. She smiled. Then she typed, "She's the real thing. Schedule a showcase. Let's own the moment before someone else does." The room was white. Too white. Like the inside of a fridge. Lily stood in the middle of it, under lights that buzzed faintly and smelled like heat. There was no echo here. No rusted walls or whispering rafters. Just acoustic panels and clipped sentences. "Stand here. Look straight ahead. We'll cue the backing track." The microphone in front of her looked like it had never been touched. The wires were wound too neatly. Everything in this place was too clean, too controlled. Like they had wiped the soul out with bleach. Marla waited behind the glass. Arms crossed. Heels tapping. Theo sat beside her. Eyes kind but distant. Already typing an email. There were 3 other people in the sound booth. A producer. A brand manager. A A girl with a clipboard who hadn't looked up once. None of them spoke to Lily. They just watched. The track began. Soft. Digital. Not the way she remembered it. Lily opened her mouth. And nothing came out. Her throat clenched. Her chest tightened. She tried again. Still nothing. Not because she was afraid. Not because she forgot the words. But because this place didn't know her. And she didn't belong to it. The lights felt like interrogation. The silence behind the glass felt like judgment. She looked down at the paper in her hands. It had the lyrics printed in blocky fonts. Rewritten. Edited. Polished to death. Can we try that again, Lily? Maybe smile a little this time. We want to feel the warmth in your tone. She sang the first line. Barely. It fell flat. No one said anything. She tried again. It sounded worse. Marla leaned toward the mic. Honey, just like in the video, okay? That pure, raw thing. Whatever that was, do that. Lily stared at the mic. It didn't feel like the one in the train car. It didn't feel like anything at all. She sang the full verse. No one clapped. No one moved. Just a long pause. Then someone cleared their throat. Maybe she's just a one-moment wonder. By the time Lily stepped out of the booth, her hands were shaking. She didn't meet anyone's eyes. Didn't say a word. Theo gave her a nod. Sympathetic. Practiced. Marla was already on the phone. That night, back under the tracks, she didn't talk. Not to her mother. Not even to herself. She just lay there, eyes open, listening to the distant thunder of trains passing far above. Each one like a voice moving too fast for her to follow. The train yard no longer felt like a stage. It felt like a cage. She had sung the way they asked. But it wasn't her song anymore. And for the first time in her life, Lily Harper began to wonder if being seen was just another way of being misunderstood. The next morning, Lily didn't speak. She didn't follow her mother to the soup line. Didn't bring her notebook to the edge of the rail yard like she usually did. Didn't even hum. She just sat beneath the rusted frame of car 10, legs crossed, arms folded tight across her chest, watching the light shift across the floor like a clock she no longer trusted. Her voice was still with her. She could feel it. Somewhere deep beneath the embarrassment, the ache, the tightening in her chest. But it wouldn't come out. Not yet. Later that day, when the sun fell behind the chain-link fence and the shadows returned to the rails, her mother appeared in the doorway of the car. She held something in her hands. A small, cracked plastic recorder. Gray. Cheap. Missing a back panel. Lily blinked. I found it, her mother said gently, in the old crate. You remember this? Lily took it. And then she did remember. She was 6 when her father left. And she was 7 when her mother, grieving but determined, started recording her daughter singing. On late nights when the world felt too big, or too quiet, or too full of missing things. It wasn't for performance. Not for talent. Just for memory. Sometimes Lily would sing made-up lullabies. Other times she'd mimic the hum of the train wheels, turning them into songs about flying. Her mother had kept them. All of them. Tapes. Files. Snippets. A hard drive hidden under a cracked floorboard. She'd saved them through evictions, storage clearouts, shelter inspections. And now, they were here. Her mother pressed play. A voice crackled to life. Smaller, younger, bursting with laughter between verses. Off-key. Adorable. Wild. Then another track. A nighttime hum. The sound of rain on a roof that wasn't metal. A lullaby, broken halfway by a hiccup of giggles. Then another. You okay, sweet pea? MHM. Can I sing the train song again? Lily sat still for a long time. And then, without knowing why, she began to cry. Not loudly. Not like she'd held it in too long. Just quietly. Like a faucet that had been dripping for years. And finally gave up the fight. That night, she went back to car 10. Alone. But this time, not empty. She carried the old recorder with her, tucked in her hoodie. She didn't need it. But it felt like a key. She stood in the center of the aisle, closed her eyes, and began to hum. No pressure. No lines to remember. No lights. Just the rust. The cold. And her voice. Her real voice. It cracked on the 3rd note. Caught on the 5th. But by the 6th, it found something. A vibration in the metal. A harmony in the stillness. And just like that, her voice came home. Far across the yard. In the car where the man had first heard her. A worker in a reflective vest paused, lowered his phone, and turned toward the sound. It wasn't a stage. It wasn't even clean. The floor of car 10 was still littered with old bolts, wrappers, leaves blown in by the wind. The windows were cracked, streaked with time, and the only light came from the sky, falling through rusted panels, warm and dusty. But it was hers. Every corner, every echo, every breath that lingered between notes. This was the place that knew her. This was the room that had always listened. She didn't dress up. She wore the same hoodie, same jeans, same frayed sneakers. Her hair was brushed, just barely. Her hands trembled, just a little. But this time, she brought a single thing with her. A microphone. Not a studio mic. Just a simple one. Gifted to her by a community college sound technician who'd seen the viral video and reached out with kindness, not contracts. He helped her set it up. No crew. No lights. Just a basic tripod, a cheap cable, a single red light blinking. You don't have to perform, he said. Just sing. Let it be yours again. And so she did. She stood in the center of car 10, eyes closed, hands at her sides. And she sang. This time, she didn't start with the viral lullaby. She sang something else, something no one had heard yet. A song she'd been building in her notebook for months. A melody patched together from hunger and quiet. From shelter lines and whispered bedtime tunes. From the steady rhythm of train wheels above her head at night. It didn't rhyme. It didn't soar. It simply was. True. Unpolished. Unafraid. Outside the car, a few people stopped. A groundskeeper. A transit cop walking his route. A teenage girl from a nearby building who'd recognized Lily from the video. They didn't interrupt. They just stood, hands in their pockets. Still, one by one, more arrived. Not from posters or press. Just whispers. She's singing again. The train girl. Come hear her. She's real. The video went live an hour later. No edits. No title screens. Just a single caption, written by Lily herself. This is my voice. No one else's. It spread faster than the first one. But this time, people weren't just sharing it. They were thanking it. Messages poured in. I sang along and didn't cry for the first time in months. My daughter is learning your song on the piano. Thank you for singing like no one taught you to hide. Lily didn't check the numbers. She didn't care. She just sat in the back of car 10, legs swinging off the edge, recorder in her lap, and watched the light move across the rails. She had sung for the world. But more importantly, she had sung for herself. It was a small venue. Not glamorous. Not loud. Just an old community theater tucked between two shuttered shops on the east end of the city, where the carpet curled at the corners, and the seats creaked when no one was moving. But tonight, it was full. Folded programs. Dim house lights. A hush that felt almost sacred. People came not because they had to, but because they'd heard. Not from a billboard. Not from a radio campaign. They'd heard her voice on a screen. In a train car. When they needed it most. And now they wanted to sit with it. To breathe with it. To say, I was there. Backstage, Lily waited. Not in a gown. Not in makeup. Just a long cardigan over her same worn jeans. And a small wired mic clipped to her collar. Her palms were damp. Her heart steady. She wasn't nervous. Not like before. She just knew this time mattered. Not because of who might be watching, but because of who might be listening. The lights dimmed. A soft cue. She stepped out. The spotlight wasn't harsh. It was gentle, golden, quiet. Like sunrise through an attic window. She stood at center stage. No band. No backup singers. Just her. And the echo waiting to catch her. She began. The first note was small, but it reached every row. She sang not the viral song, but the one from car 10. The one no label had touched. The one she had stitched together. With pencil stubs and courage. It was the kind of song that didn't ask for applause. It just asked to be heard. And it was. In the third row, near the end of the aisle, a man leaned forward. Gray at the temples. Tie loosened. Eyes glassy. He had been there in the studio. Months ago. Behind the glass. Saying nothing. When she couldn't find her voice. He had let the silence hang like failure. He remembered that. He hadn't expected tonight to move him. Had told himself he was just checking in. Curious, he'd said. But when she reached the bridge, that quiet turning point in the song where her voice dropped and rose again like something breaking free, he stood. Not dramatically. Not like an ovation. Just quietly. One person. Standing. And then, others followed. One by one. No clapping yet. Just standing. Like saying, we see you now. We hear you now. And we won't sit through your song. From the stage, Lily saw him. She didn't flinch. Didn't blink. She just held the note. Let it carry. Let it end. And in the hush that followed, no stage manager called time. No house lights rose. Just breath. Just stillness. Just her. The trains were still that morning. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The yard was bathed in a pale, forgiving light. Not golden, not blue, just soft, like the space between memory and morning. Lily walked slowly, hands in her pockets, hood up, not hiding, just breathing, letting the stillness settle in her bones. She wasn't here to sing. Not today. Car 10 looked the same. Scratched paint, bent doorframe, one window patched with duct tape that flapped gently in the breeze. But the dust had settled differently. The silence wasn't heavy anymore. It felt open. Inside, the shadows greeted her like old friends. She didn't climb to the center of the aisle this time. Didn't clear her throat. Didn't test the echo. She just sat in the second row, legs folded beneath her, and let her body rest into the cold of the floor. No cameras. No audience. Just her and the whisper of a space that had once carried her voice like a secret down steel corridors. Something caught her eye. On the bench across from her, placed neatly, intentionally, was a bundle, a bouquet, dry wildflowers, sun-bleached, cracked, held together with a velvet ribbon. Next to it, a folded scrap of paper. She reached for it, unfolded it carefully, the corners brittle with time. Just one line, in soft pencil. Keep singing, no matter who's listening. No name, no signature. But she didn't need one. She smiled. Not the kind of smile that breaks wide, but the kind that presses gently at the corners of your mouth. When you know something that no one else has to understand. She tucked the note into her sleeve, ran her fingers over the dried petals like they might hum, then leaned back against the cool metal wall and let her eyes close. Somewhere far above, a train rumbled by, its wheels clicking like a metronome, like a song being remembered. That evening, long after Lily had gone, a man in a long coat came through the yard. He paused at car 10, peered inside. He didn't go in, didn't speak, just stood there for a while, hat in hand, looking at the seat where she had sat. Then slowly, quietly, he placed a single guitar pick on the step, turned, and walked away. The world would go on spinning. More videos, more noise, more moments chasing flame. But car 10 would remain. Not a stage, not a secret, just a place where a girl once sang. Because it hurt too much not to, and that would be enough. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs a little light today. And if you'd like to hear more quiet voices that deserve to be heard, subscribe.